Throughout this class, we've been using Office 365 and creating documents in the browser, meaning we're using the online version of Word, the online version of PowerPoint. And in general, particularly with Word documents, that's really all you're going to need. However, if you or your students are using it and you like to get fancy with transitions and using some of the additional features, you may need to launch it into the full desktop version. And you can do that. So let's take, for example, the PowerPoint that we were working on last week. So when we click on it here, if you recall back to week 1, when a document first created, you don't have those editing rights. You need to go back up to the top and click Edit Presentation. Now, in general, what we try to encourage the students to do, especially with Microsoft Word, is to edit in the online version. Click Edit in PowerPoint Online. And what that does is it just gives us most of the tools that you would see in PowerPoint, but it doesn't give you everything. So when you come to some of these tabs over here, you might not find everything you need. For very basic PowerPoint, it shouldn't be a problem. But if you or the students want to use all the bells and whistles, you can launch this from the online version into the full version. I'm going to preface this with, if you choose to have you or your students do this, always create your document first in Office 365 and then launch it. And I'm going to tell you why in a second. So if we come up to the top of this PowerPoint, you can see here we're in the online version, but there's always going to be a button at the top, somewhere either in the middle or the right, that says Open in, and it'll say either PowerPoint, or if it's a Word document, it'll say Open in Word. And what this is going to do is it's going to take this online version and then open it up into the full desktop version you're used to seeing. The reason I'm not particularly having you guys do this during the course of this course is because everybody's working on different computers. Some of you may have PowerPoint and Word installed on your home computer. Some of you may not. If you don't have it installed on your home computer, it's not going to launch, obviously. But if you are working on a computer that has it, or if you're working at school, it will always work. When you click on Open in PowerPoint, what it's going to do is it's going to ask, are you sure you want to launch this application? And depending on what browser you use, this might look a little bit different, but we're going to click Launch Application. I'm on a Mac right now, so it's going to launch the Mac version of PowerPoint, which might look a little bit different than your PC version. And you can try this on your computer that you're working on now if you have PowerPoint installed, or if you have Microsoft Word installed, you will be able to launch this. And what it will do is it'll launch the desktop application, and then you'll see a lot more tools, and you'll see all the different sections and the toolbars that you're used to seeing on your regular desktop computer. So by clicking that Open in PowerPoint button while I was in the online version, it has now launched this PowerPoint into the full desktop version, giving me all the ability, all of the features of PowerPoint. And I'll have more tabs up here, and I'll have more bells and whistles than I would have in the online version. You can do this, your students can do this as well. However, you're going to notice when you make changes, if you start to add anything to your PowerPoint, how does this save back to the online version? Well, if you were to quit right out of this, it would actually ask you, do you want to save any changes? And it will automatically save this back to the cloud, back to your OneDrive. There is also a button, and it's going to look a little bit different on a PC. You'll see a disk, and on a PC it'll probably have a green arrow on it. On the Mac it has a blue one. When I click this, it automatically is saving everything now back up to the cloud. However, if I were to make additional changes and I forgot to hit the save button and I just wanted to quickly exit out, it will prompt me to save these changes. So once I click save, it'll do that, and now it's saving everything back up to the cloud because I'm connected to the internet. And if I go back over to once I quit the desktop version of PowerPoint, it brings me back over to the online version, which was still open behind the full desktop version. And if I come back over to the slide that I was just making changes to, you will see that those two changes were saved. This first one saved because I manually hit the save button, but the second time around when I added content and I just quit and it prompted me to save those changes, it saved those changes back to the cloud. So you can do this if you find it necessary to use the full version, you're not sure where a tool is. Again, in Microsoft Word it's probably not going to be necessary because you're basically using straight text and a few formatting features. But in some of the other ones like PowerPoint and OneNote, which I'm going to show you a little about next week, you may need to launch it into the full version. Again, just make sure that you and your students, if you're going to do that, always create your documents first in Office 365 if you plan on using it, and then launch it into the full version so that all changes will automatically be saved back to the cloud.